You will find these figures for the first time in the Secret Doctrine of Blavatsky and another book, Cosmic Fire. Yes, yes. The first application, second application, there is a third application also. That's why this number is given in the Old Testament as the number of the beast. That means animals coming into the human kingdom. At 3 places it is to be applied. Here we have applied at 2 places. There is a bigger cycle. For example, if you apply this key to this, you will get the bigger cycles. Do you know this figure? I think all of you know it. Given by whom? Yes. This figure is for the first time given to the Western world by Pythagoras. And it is given by the Tibetan school of Buddhists in the name of Manipadma. Because the key how to use this exists in the syllables and sounds Manipadma. For example, Ma is 1 syllable, N is the 2nd syllable, Pa is the 3rd syllable, DMA is the 4th syllable. And there is a numerical key to the sounds in Sanskrit and ancient Tibet. So this is taken as the name of the Lord Buddha. Buddha, name of the Manipadma is the name, one of the names of Buddha. And there is the name of zero called Hum in Sanskrit. The whole thing is given as a mantra. Om Manipadme Hum. The mantra carries the keys how to use this. And the older scriptures of India give this as the emblem of a Lord named Dattatreya, who is the Lord of Yoga, that is yogic consciousness. He is said to be the son of a seer called Atri, meaning not 3. That is, the triangle has one total period of bigger time. If you take this as 1 unit, it is called the period of unit. In Sanskrit, unit is called Kali. The word Kali means unit, and if you multiply it by 2, you will have another period. If you multiply it by 3, you will have a third different period. And if you multiply this by 4, there is another period. So we have 4 different periods that give us the biological keys and the keys of the spirals of evolutions on this earth. The total period is 10 times the original number, and therefore the total period is same numbers with 1 more 0. That's why Pythagoras taught to his disciples how to use this formula, and he called it the sacred decade. So this is called the great age. In Sanskrit it is called Mahayuga. If you multiply it by the number of the equinoctial day, that is 72, you get 1 period of Manu. It is called 1 Manvantara. 14 Manvantaras is a great period. It is called Kalpa, called the day of Brahma. You need not take down these things. You have all these things worked out in the Cosmic Fire. You will find it within the first 5 or 6 pages, threateningly. So these are a few points regarding the seasons of the bigger years. Just as we have seasons in the year, and just as in the spring season we have the flowers and the fruits and the trees springing up, we have the spring seasons of this bigger year also. In some seasons the human fellows come too much. In some seasons the quadrupeds become too much. In some seasons the water animals become too much. It is a cyclic effect. Now let us go to our subject once again. Symbolism. We said yesterday that the day has its 4 cardinal points: the sunrise, the sunset, meridian, and midnight. And the month has its 4 cardinal points: full moon, half moon, new moon, and half moon. The same formula, and we have the 4 cardinal signs: Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and Cancer. Of course, in the Western system of zodiac, it will be in the reverse order. For example, it will be marked like this. In India, it will be marked like this. This is the reason why there is a peculiar point in esoteric astrology. The master has dictated astrology. The master was an Eastern. He used the Indian way when he spoke of the reversal of the wheel. And Alice Bailey was not knowing anything of astrology at all. So she depended upon some astrological fellow who gave the Western chart. So finally in the book we find a mysterious point which is very difficult to understand. She says that the wheel is reversed and the horoscope travels from Aries to Pisces via Taurus. It is not via Taurus, but it is via Aquarius. But she says it is via Taurus because she followed the Occidental chart. So we find a great difficulty in understanding it. The master dictated in the Eastern way and the disciple took it in the Western way. Now, these are not conventional divisions. For example, if you take the beginning of Aries on March 21st, the night and day are exactly equal when you stand on the equator and measure. The same thing on the first day of Libra also, that is September 21st. And on the first day of Capricorn, December 22nd, you will find the longest night and the shortest day, which is called the winter solstice. And on the first day of Cancer, it is June 22nd, you will find the longest day and shortest night. So they are according to the phenomena in nature and not at all conventional like the present Gregorian calendar. The calendar is purely conventional and non-scientific. It doesn't depend upon any phenomena. So someday in the future the calendar will be revised in a scientific way. Previously many times it was revised by the ancient Indians, Egyptians and Chaldeans, but many times political reasons changed it. Every ruler fellow had his own beginning of the year. Whenever a big ruler came to throne, he wanted that the date of his incarnation, the date of his coronation should be taken as the beginning of the year. The result is the present Gregorian calendar. And like this, you will have the 4-armed God manifesting in time through cycles up to the biggest Mahayuga and Kalpa also. This pattern, design, is called the form of Vishnu, the Lord of preservation. So, in the symbolism, he is called a God with 4 arms. If you find a calendar of Vishnu in India, he will be having 4 hands. And he has 2 postures. One is vertical posture and the other is horizontal posture. We will speak something about these 2 postures. when Vishnu is represented on the horizontal posture, it indicates the creation in existence. And when he is represented in horizontal posture, it indicates the whole creation going into dissolution. So this is the objective state of creation. This is the subjectivity of creation. If you go to South India, you will find Vishnu's temples. In some temples the fellow will be standing like this and in some temples he will be lying like this. So the Lord of existence has two phases, creation and destruction. Creation is represented by Brahma the four-faced, and it is said to take place from the center of Vishnu, that is the center of space. Where does it exist? Space is described as his body with its center everywhere, circumference nowhere, having never-ending spirals of creation. So this is described as the navel of the Lord. From the navel, a lotus stalk is described as, and in that lotus there will be this little fellow with four faces, the creator or Brahma. It is a wonderful symbolism. Here the lotus, it is described like this. This is called lotus leaf. Previously we have seen the half of it, the key of bigger cycles, that is of Pythagoras. This is described as one leaf, one petal of the lotus, and there are 7 such petals in the inner layer of this lotus, and there are 14 such petals on the next layer, and there are 21 petals on the next layer, and 28 in the next layer. This is the structure of the lotus in which this little fellow of the creator exists and begins to create in 4 phases. And Vishnu will be lying horizontal. This lotus begins to sprout from his navel, and then in the lotus the four-faced Brahma will be sitting, creating this whole universe. And it is described that at a very step the creator is confused because his creation is not objective. He is creating it subjectively, just as a poet is producing his poems in his mind, or a dramatist or a novelist imagining his characters and conversations in himself. That is how it is described in the scriptures. So at every step he is becoming the creation, and the various planes or various levels of consciousness, they begin to exist in him only, and the living beings exist in him only, just as our biological cells are existing in our body. So in one sense he is not divided, not separated from his creation. The whole creation is his body, and the whole space is the body of Vishnu. So space is the body of Vishnu, creation is the body of creator, the Brahma. So God should not be confused with the creator. Creator is different from God. God means God has background, that is the eternity. That's the reason why this Vishnu with the lotus and the Brahma and his creation, with his 4 arms, he is floating on an ocean. This ocean is the real God, and on the ocean there is the big serpent with its 1,000 heads. Once again, there is a great significance about this 1,000, which is not so easy for the present. But for the time being, let us take it as 1,000-headed serpent, having 7 spirals. At the end of the 7th spiral, you will find the tail of this serpent. So, this ocean is what we call the background or eternity. It is the God Absolute who is described in the first 3 or 4 pages in the Secret Doctrine of Blavatsky. He is called Brahman, whereas the Creator is called Brahma. Should be careful. If we use Brahma, it is Creator, the four-faced, who is in the lotus. If it is Brahman, it is the background, the absolute God. This is a little about the symbolism of Vishnu and Brahma. Next we are coming to him, the next step, because the word is little. It doesn't contain all the creation.
No, die Tafel ist zu klein.
Also die Tafel ist zu klein, da kriegt ihr nicht die ganze Schöpfung drauf.
This is to be wiped off because now we are going to talk about destruction.
Denn jetzt wird sie stören, deswegen muss ich das alles nicht.
Shiva is said to have 3 eyes. The one eye will be like this. The another eye will be like this. That is the sun, the moon, and this eye will be like this. Fire. His right eye is called the solar eye. His left eye is called the lunar eye. His third eye, of course it is not his pineal gland, but something great. Some fellows has written that third eye is the pineal gland. When the scriptures have come into the hands of the Occidentals, we find every fellow writing in his own way. There is one wonderful fellow who said that the third eye can be opened by a surgical operation. A strange pseudo-spiritualist who named himself after a fictitious name called Lobsang Rampa. So, he described that you should make a hole here. Another fellow writes that third eye is the pineal gland. There may be tomorrow a third fellow who writes that the third eye is in the nasal holes. Third eye is something different. And Lord Shiva's third eye is fire. And this fire has 3 layers. The blue, the red, and the colorless. If you take a candle flame, if you place your finger just above the flame, you will find what the colorless flame is. There are 3 fires. You will find the 3 fires on the first page of the book Cosmic Fire. Because the second page and onwards it is very difficult. From the second page, the fire is very difficult to understand. We can see only on the first page the 3 fires, and then close the book and then worship it in our library. Because we believe that it is very sacred. We have neither time nor energy to go through all the pages of the Cosmic Fire. If any time we happen to go through all the pages, we understand why the candle flame has 3 layers, and then we can understand why the third eye of Shiva has 3 fires. Here, sun and moon are not planets, but planetary principles. What's the difference? Planets come and go in every solar creation. Where from they come and where to they go? They have their original molds, according to which they are prepared and sent into the creation. These original molds are called the principles, which we call the properties. For example, the sun properties, they are there before the sun exists. The moon properties are there before the moon exists. and the fire properties are there before the fire exists. How can we believe? Imagine a time when the human beings did not know that sugar can be prepared. At that time, was it not true that sugar will be sweet? If at all, it could be prepared. So, any time, sugar will be sweet when prepared. When not prepared, the fact exists in nature that sugar will be sweet, without which sugar can never be sweet. So, the properties exist as eternal principles, and the creation comes only as a periodical application of the eternal principles. Am I clear? So, the solar principle is the eternal sun, according to which the periodical sun of every solar system is prepared and sent. The difference is like the difference between the railway department and a train, and the airlines and the aeroplane, the postal department and a post office. You can close a post office at a place when it is not required, but still the postal department exists. So these are the original departments which exist during creation and no creation also. They are the eternal principles. So his eyes are the solar and the lunar principles and the fire principle. When the three are there, simultaneously destruction takes place when there is creation. Otherwise, what happens? There will be only destruction and no creation. Then the third fellow, Vishnu, he will have no business at all. He has to close his magazine shop and go home. So it is a simultaneous process. That's the reason why in the scriptures it is described that when Shiva wanted to destroy, there was the birth of millions and millions of little beings from his hair pores. They came out and they destroyed. That is how the story in the scriptures goes. So, whenever there is creation, there is destruction. And whenever there is destruction, there is creation. This is because for the first, the highest three principles in creation, there is neither creation nor destruction. They are among the eternal principles. And the lower three principles, which we call the physical, the etheric and the mental, there is the creation and destruction always going on. Physical. Matter is produced, at the same time destroyed. Because what we call matter is nothing but an aggregate of atoms. And an atom is not a matter at all. It is an office where tremendous force is being released, energy is being released. Remember that energy is not matter. When an atom is a packet of energy, and when some intelligences are working in the atom, and when we remember that intelligence is not matter, so neither energy nor intelligence is matter. And the atom consists only of these two things. That is, energy packets and the fellows whom we call intelligences, called the devas. But when some atoms are put together, we have the existence of matter. So, matter never exists at all.